Hey, so I'm just gonna start by saying a few things about the last video I posted. If you haven't watched it, people seem to like it, but it's mainly gonna be talking about that. So if you haven't watched it, then you can skip this bit if you want. But I don't know. I just wanted to thank people for. Ooh, I got interested by this. Just completely distracted immediately. Yeah, thank you everyone that watched it and left nice comments. I didn't expect it to get that much attention, but I do really appreciate it. Even if it was just, watching a video, I still appreciate it. And I know that's like a really cliche thing, it's like everyone says that, but I still appreciate it. I still think it's really nice. And I just kind of made it for myself, I guess. So it was nice to see that many people relate to it. I don't know, it was just really nice. So thank you. And if anyone thinks that kind of like there's anything I could have done better, anything you didn't like in it, then please do mention. I'm just kind of like doing whatever. I'm just kind of riffing in these videos. I don't know, I just kind of cut it so that there was less silence, like in the editing. Because all like if you noticed all those kind of random cuts everywhere, that was just because of just bits of silence where I'm trying to think of the next word I'm gonna say, because I don't really plan these videos. I just kind of do it. So if there's anything you think that I could have done better, then feel free to mention it. I'm just trying to find a fishing spot. I don't know where I'm gonna fish. I want to do it somewhere different to last time. Oh, this is kind of nice. Oh, I could sit on the log. Yes. Okay, this is it. Every time I web fish, I like to try and fish in a different spot. Isn't this cozy? Isn't this nice? Oh wait, can I even... Yeah. Okay. Anyway, you saw the title of the video. I don't know what it's going to be, but I know what I'm going to talk about. So I don't know, it was really difficult trying to figure out that I was trans, I guess, because it kind of all started like, well, it started before it started, I guess. And by that I mean like my first ever trans thought was when I was like maybe 15, around about 15. I was still figuring out I was bisexual, and I was like kind of thinking about that sort of, and I thought about like a sexual situation, but if I was a woman for like a split second, and I was like, huh, that's interesting. And I kind of thought about that for like only like a really small amount of time, and I just kind of thought like, oh, I wouldn't look good as a woman anyway, and I don't even want to be a woman that much. Like that feeling I had wasn't that strong, so I was like, oh, I'm fine being a guy, whatever. Boy, was I wrong. And then about 2 years later, I was in a relationship. He's an artist, and he drew a picture of me in a skirt as a funny little joke, and that was kind of the first crack in the shell. If you don't know what that means, it's kind of like I think I mentioned it in the last video. It's like a popular piece of terminology where it's like you're an egg, or like that's kind of you figuring out you are whatever you are. Like it's not just a trans terminology. And that was like the first crack in that egg, and then you become a chick, That was the first real start of those thoughts. I mean, really then I probably should have connected the dots and been like, oh, I'm trans. But no, this was just the beginning. I thought about that like a lot when that happened. It was still a very new feeling, and it was like really nerve-wracking. Like I was really nervous about it. I didn't know how to think about it. I didn't know how to feel about it, but I knew that I liked it. And so kind of like that was around about, like I'm 20 now. I was like around maybe 17, 18, around about then. So like the whole kind of femboy thing was quite big at the time. So I was like, okay, I'm a femboy. First step, cool. So I knew this about myself, and I just kind of went with that. And like I was very aware of like trans stuff and things, but I didn't look into it. I was like, no, I know I'm not trans. This is good. I don't want all that. And I kind of like half thought about it for like a couple of years. Like sometimes I'd kind of like remember that that's a thing, and I'd be like, oh yeah, huh, I wonder what that means. And then I just kind of go about my day. And I mean, I don't really remember a lot about that time. I do remember just basically thinking like, oh yeah, I'm a femboy, whatever. But it was just hard to think about. I don't know, I don't have a lot of words for what I felt. I mean, it was like a really uncomfortable time, I guess would be one way to describe it. But also just like really unsure. Like, I don't know, I don't think I even knew a lot about trans culture or anything like that really. I mean, at one point I started watching Finster, and I feel like as if that was maybe kind of that cracked the egg a bit more, because then I just kind of started to know more about trans stuff, I guess. I guess I had a lot of weird perceptions about what it meant to be trans or what it was like. I don't know, to be honest, I'm realizing now I've kind of forgotten a lot about those few years. It did take me years to figure that out. I mean, there was signs before that, like at one point, like I had short hair my whole life. I started to grow out my hair, and I was just like, oh, cool, I like this, I like long hair, this is awesome. And I was quite enthusiastic about that. And I was just kind of like, okay, I guess I just like how that looks. And I also started losing weight around the same time. And I was like really happy. I mean, anyone would be really happy about losing weight, but I was like really happy. And then I remember at one point I didn't really recognize myself when I looked in the mirror, which is weird. I don't know if that's related to trans stuff, who knows. And it was just a really difficult time, I guess. Like, looking back, I hadn't found my place in the world. I didn't know what things I liked. I didn't know who I was. I was really introverted and anxious. I mean, that wasn't just because of, like, trans stuff, but I feel like it was definitely a contributor. But what's weird is I feel like in that time, I was also in my baby trans period. And if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like where you're just getting used to this newfound femininity. Oh, your newfound like for kind of being feminine. And, you know, usually you're kind of like hyper feminine, wearing pink, and, you know, you get the thigh highs and skirts. I remember at one point I did get the thigh highs and skirts, but I don't know, I didn't wear them that often. I still don't, to be honest. But I'll talk about that in a bit. And I guess I wasn't hyper feminine, but I kind of felt it somewhere inside me. It was there. I just didn't really know. Like, I was still really nervous of facing these new, quite outward things was really difficult for me. Because, you know, I mean, I was like really socially anxious. So, of course, doing something this outward was like, whoa, no thanks. But, you know, over the years, I grew out my shell a bit. I started to watch more trans content on YouTube. One of the big ones was Icky, Finster's ex. She also goes by Ashley, I think. She has that clothing brand, you know. Yeah, I started to watch a lot of her videos. And a lot of her videos were talking about kind of figuring out being trans and that type of stuff. And that really helped me because it kind of forced me to really face it and properly think about it. Because all these years I'd been kind of almost avoiding it or just not doing it. Because, I mean, I guess some personal problems I have are just like trouble doing a new thing and just kind of doing things outside of my weird little routine and starting doing a new thing. Just doing things in general is kind of difficult. But I guess finding these videos just kind of helped me face those, and it was good to just have more information about it from someone who is trans, and it made me kind of look at myself and I was like, okay, I'm going to seriously think about that. That's what I said to myself. I said, I'm going to seriously think about this. And I did. I watched these videos and I was really deep in thought. Actually, no, the first video I watched was a video, I can't remember what it was, I might put it on screen. It was a video about being non-binary, because I was like, I had thoughts of like, oh, well, maybe I'm non-binary, who knows. And I watched this one video that, like, it almost made me cry. It was really touching to just have that much raw truth and emotion, I guess. It was kind of like a short film thing, I think. I don't know, it was on YouTube. And I guess it just really touched me and began some of those thoughts. And then I moved on to Icky's videos. And, I mean, they were like a lifesaver. And, you know, I looked, I can't even remember which videos I watched or what was in them, but it was just about being trans and, like, the baby trans period and stuff like that. And I think a bit of Ashley's journey. Or like his journey, I don't know. I'm not on a first name basis with her, I don't know her. But that really, I don't even want to say the word helped. It was more than helped. It was key to me figuring out who I am. And I kind of watched those. And I think I watched a few other videos by a few other trans creators. I guess just having that exposure really helped me. And I can't even really specifically remember the moment I figured out that I was trans. But I remember I was so happy when I figured it out. Like, it just felt like as if this huge dragging weight had been taken off my shoulders, and I felt like I could just finally be myself. It was just great. I mean, if I was the type to cry more, I would have cried. Like, it was just incredible. And I think I mainly got that feeling when I told my friends. My friends, like, amazing. I never even for a moment thought that they would, like, have a problem with it. Like, not at all. And I remember when they told them, they were super sweet about it. I was so happy. And I felt really, like, girly and feminine at that time, which is great. I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. Actually, no, that just reminded me of something. One of the big things or reasons I didn't I guess, come out as trans earlier or look into it was because I was so deathly afraid of being put into like a pit of depression and self-harming. I don't know what it was. It was just like I knew that being trans wasn't easy. I guess I was just like I was afraid of the bar of myself being upped so high, and it's like you can't just get there instantly. And I mean, it never really crossed my mind that if I came out as trans earlier, then I could get that sooner. But you know, that's in the past now. So that was really difficult to face because that was like a big roadblock for me. And to be perfectly honest with you, that did happen. I did fall into a pit of depression eventually. It took a month or two, but I did. I mean, I feel like as if I was already in one, but whoa, look at that calf. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I did fall into a pit of depression. I started self-harming. I was just really unhappy. I mean, of course, there's things I did that made me happy as well. And depression isn't all just 100% of the time, you know, feeling horrible. And I mean, I guess I'm still in that right now. I mean, of course, I don't know, it's kind of like a wave, like it fluctuates. But it's still super worth it because now I can be who I am. Although it doesn't fully feel like that right now because I'm not out to everyone in my life. I'm out to my friends, I'm out to my brother. I plan on coming out to my parents soon. You know, I'm still not there yet. And so it also doesn't feel like as if I can actually be who I want to be. Like I'm not out to my work yet, so I can't be myself to them. But even then, like what I talked about in the video I posted previously, if you haven't watched it, I think it seemed to help people if you're in that place of the early trans period, but it's difficult because it just feels like if you tell someone you're trans, they're not going to understand it. That, like, if they are supportive and not transphobic, then, and they use your pronouns, they're not going to really get it. Like, they're gonna look at you with almost a bit of confusion. At least it feels like they will. And then there's also the worry of they'll be supportive, and I say that with air quotes, but they'll be like I know they might do something like say, oh yeah, she, he, it, whatever they want to be called, like, you know, they'll do something like that. Like there's always the worry that there will be people that will do that, and it's like, I mean, I never want to let people change who I'm going to be. Like, that's bullshit. Why would I want to do that? But it's like, you can't always be so extreme with people, and I always worry about if I do something, they're going to use that as ammunition for, ooh, trans bad. Which, I mean, that's probably a stupid mindset to be in, but it's something genuine that I feel and I'm worried about. And it almost just feels like as if being in the early trans period is going to make that worse somehow, because you yourself don't feel as much like a woman. Because maybe you're not on estrogen yet, maybe you don't do makeup yet, maybe you're not too feminine presenting at the time. And that's just quite a difficult bit to go on. I can't even remember what I was just talking about. That's the thing I do. I just kind of start riffing. And then if I stop for even a moment, I'll completely forget where I'm at. Because I have like a little bit of notes to keep me in a general direction. But then I was like, I'll just, you know, talk about whatever. So I don't know. It still kind of doesn't, I feel like there's waves or like levels of that weight being lifted, of being able to be yourself. And I guess I've kind of had the first wave, like, you know, sometimes it's just lovely to see my friends and they use my preferred pronouns and it's like, hell yeah, that's awesome. And it just feels nice. Like, even if I'm not doing anything that feminine, it's just nice to have someone recognize me as like she or they, and it's really nice. But I know it'll feel much better once I'm out to everyone, and then I can be openly like, you know, this is who I am, these are my pronouns, this is what I am. I mean, of course, it'll still come with its challenges. I mean, I live in the northeast of England. I would consider it pretty not understanding. I mean, of course, there are, you know, places that are better than others, but, you know, it's still the northeast of England. So, you know, there's always kind of like a small worry that something really bad will happen, or something less bad but public will happen. But, you know, that's not like I don't think that's really a driving force for me stopping myself from outwardly really being who I want to be. That's another thing I want to talk about. I mentioned earlier about kind of clothing and stuff, and that's like a real difficulty for trans women. Your whole life, you've worn masculine clothes pretty much, like a jeans and a shirt and a jacket or something. And there's a lot to get used to, but then what if you don't want to wear incredibly feminine clothing anyway? I mean, maybe sometimes you may want to, which I feel like I do, but like I don't Like, I kind of like how I dress now, just like that plus a crop top, and I'd be pretty happy, to be honest with you. And maybe a dress sometimes because those are awesome. You know, that's kind of a thing, and it's difficult because if you like, yes, I want to be feminine, but not like super feminine, and it's kind of difficult to do that when I'm literally in a man's body with like a man's face currently, and then you still want people to look at you and be like, that's a woman right there. I mean, of course, there's like, I feel like as if this will get better once I start estrogen, which hopefully is very soon. Big up DIY. But that's still not right now, and I still don't know what it's going to be like then as well, because that hasn't started yet. I just keep feeling like as if once I start estrogen, everything's going to get better. Not like instantly, like of course it'll slowly go up, but like, I mean, then I feel like as if I'll be comfortable to be called the name I have in mind. Then I feel like as if I'll be more comfortable to start learning makeup and eyeliner and stuff like that, and I'll be more comfortable to be just a bit more outwardly feminine. And I don't really know what that's about. I don't know if it's like having to feel valid or what, but like it almost just feels like it's a thing just to me, and that's why I don't feel comfortable with it. Like, not what other people will think. It's just what I feel like, I guess. Again, I don't want this to take away from the incredible experience that is being trans. Like, it is genuinely beautiful. This uncomfortable feeling you've had your own life that feels normal. For just a moment, you get to stop feeling that. And it's almost kind of strange because that's not normal to feel that kind of uncomfortability. Like, even now, I can't fully recognize that. But it's like when I don't feel it, it's like, whoa, it's incredible. So maybe if someone's watching this right now that is struggling with that themselves, just try calling yourself trans, just to yourself. You don't have to tell anyone. Just to yourself, call yourself trans for a day. And think of yourself as a woman. And think about the possibility of starting estrogen, growing your hair out, or just doing something that you would perceive as feminine. And if that makes you feel this kind of eagerness, this happiness, then maybe you should read up and watch a few things about being trans. Because I mean, I had that for years, and I have these pessimistic moments where I really hate myself for not realizing it sooner. I think, God, you know, I was less through puberty then. Could you imagine if I'd started estrogen then? God, I'd be a woman by now. And I get so annoyed at myself, but I mean, I don't have any advice on that or anything positive to say about that, because I'm not past that yet. That's still something I feel. I know it's like, it's never too late to transition, and I mean, 20 is like still a really good age to transition, but I'm just, you know, I can't help but feel annoyed at myself sometimes for not doing it sooner. And I think that's fine. Like, I'll get over it in time. Like, you know, once I start estrogen, I'll be content, I feel like. I don't know, I'm just excited to start estrogen. Oh, and voice training. But being trans is great. I know that I don't know, this video and the past video, they've got a lot of pessimistic, or I don't know what you'd call it, some negative things in it, I'd say, but I just don't want anyone to forget how great being trans is. Like, you just finally get to be yourself, you get to be comfortable, you get to be, I don't know, happy. I mean, of course, it being like, figuring out you're trans isn't just like this big fix for like everything that's wrong in your life. That's not what it is, but boy does it help. It really does. And I guess just while I have some of yours attention, I want to recommend some trans channels, and even just a couple that aren't trans that I think are great. I mean, the trans ones, they're mainly just going to be like ones that I feel like have really helped me. And, you know, if you're watching this and you've watched this far, chances are you might be struggling yourself and you might be in a similar place. And these people's videos really helped me kind of understand some of it and through it. I don't think I can really remember or recommend a specific video I watched, but I'll kind of put some up on the screen now for who I really think you should check out. Also, play web fishing. It's awesome and really gay, and it's got a really cool trans community. And also you get to draw cool pride flags, and you get to be a little dude, and you get to wear these little boots, and also you can get a drink from the vending machine, and you can also gamble, and you get a cool little fishing rod, and you get to go fish. And look at how peaceful and silly this is. Is that not beautiful? It's really listen to this when you chat. How silly is that? Eee!
The sounds in my head are to my